Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kara.
Well, neither one of us have been in the country for we both actually were out of the country, I should say. Like right behind each other. I was first. We went to Mexico. And then Kara was, where did you go again, Kara?
The Bahamas.
That's right. She was in the Bahamas and the Bermuda Triangle and all that fun and interesting stuff. So, how about we'll let you go first. So, how did your trip go? What did you find out, or did you find any cool creatures or myths or anything about where you were?
Well, so we were on a cruise. So we started the Port Canaveral is where we started at. And it was actually, the cruise was a convention cruise, so it was the ColossalCon cruise. So it was basically like, everyone dressing up, so another one of my convention adventures. But in a cruise setting, which was interesting, and I was curious how it was going to be. There was like about, I think, 140 of us on the cruise. So not too terrible many. That's kind of nice. But like a good enough amount, yeah. Yeah. It was like enough amount where it felt like we were all like a little family. Like when we would see the lanyards, because we all had like matching lanyards to know, like to like signal that we were a part of the convention or whatever. Yeah. It was kind of like, oh, we knew, like, oh, hey, we know that you're a part of us. So it was really easy to strike up conversations with people. And then like we got to know each other fairly well since there was only like 100 or so, people on board. Yeah. And like all the events makes it a lot easier. Yeah, like, it felt like a little family, when there's a small amount. Yeah. 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 Like, we were a little group of people, so we all got to know people pretty well. And then, like, we all had, our own dining time to set up for us. Okay. Like, we had, like, a portion of the dining room blocked off for us. So that was nice. Nice.
So you got to eat together, too?
Yeah, so we all got to eat together in our little group. And they had, like, big tables, so we could all kind of, like, sit. Like, we had an 8-person group, so we all, like, sat, and then we had 2, like, tables, or 2 chairs at the end. So we had, like, a mixture of people who would come and sit with us. Nice. But we got to, like, know those people pretty well since we were there at dinner. There was one day, though, that, like, 4 people took over our table, because we had, like, so we split up into, like, 4 of us sat there with those people, and then the other 4... sat at the
made new friends at a different table. God, it's like so it was high school nice. All over again, isn't it?
Well, they sat at a 4-person table. So we got to sit with a bunch of like interesting characters that we got to know, which was fun.
That's cool. Yeah, like, it's always nice to meet new people.
Well, like, because it was the pirates. Because I actually done a shot with one of them earlier in the cruise. Okay. So I kind of knew them a little bit, and like a lot of people knew me because I was the photographer as well. So I was a lot of people just would recognize me. They would clock me immediately. So I got to know a lot of people. And I was we also did a panel too on the cruise.
Cool. Nice.
And then we got to, so like they didn't have, it wasn't quite the same as like a normal convention. They didn't have like a
ton of panels hall. And like a vendor thing.
Yeah, they didn't have any vendors or anything like that. They had a few panels. I think They were like not really sure if they were gonna do panels again in the future, just because we didn't. Most people seem like they were spending their time doing other things like convention or like the cruise activities, because there's also a cruise going on, so there's like other people doing stuff,
all kinds of stuff, like bingo and
like people did show up to the big events, but like the smaller events or like the panels weren't really well attended. They did do a Family Feud night, which was really fun. Like
that sounds like fun, like a game night. That would be, or like a trivia night. Ooh, you could do like a whole trivia night. About
they did a Family Feud, but it was all so everyone was given a form to submit the answers, like how Family Feud normally works. Yeah. So it was and they were all like anime-ish questions, So there were some very and every time like people were like upset about the answers, like. Because someone dressed up like Steve Harvey, too.
Oh, that is hysterical.
Yeah, it was really funny. Honestly, I think it was one of the more fun events. Yeah, we were sad because we all dressed up and we were trying to do a group together, but our team didn't get picked because they had, like, too many teams that it was like a wheel.
Maybe
they
should have done it like 2 days. Maybe they should have done like 2 different ones.
I think they should have done less
like
questions so they could get more group teams in. Because they were asking a lot of questions. It was like 15 questions, and that it goes on a while, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. You only ask like 5 per. Like
I think that they did 5 per group. It would have been a lot faster. But I mean, it was their first time doing it on the cruise, so.
Right, and you know what? And now they know. So moving forward,
yeah. So like, I'm not too upset. It was just sad because we all dressed up in like a matching family outfit, so we were. It was a little sad, funny. But it was still enjoyable to watch. Because some of them, oh god, one of the people, he had a beer, and like whenever he would go up with the other guy, he would force him to drink his beer.
Oh jeez.
I know. He's funny. Like, you have to chug before we can push the button. It was just very chaotic. And then everyone, because like a lot of people had the drinking plan too, and a lot of the games were kind of more drinking focused, so I feel like if you weren't of drinking age or didn't really drink, it wasn't quite like the environment, you know what I mean?
Maybe they need to work, maybe they need to work some other things for people.
Like almost all of the events were very like drinking-ish to a degree.
Okay.
Like the one was a bar crawl, which that was my favorite event. It was a ninja bar crawl. I had so many like the normal cruise people being like, "Why is everyone dressed like ninjas today?" It was also funny just interacting with the normal crew people, like the cruise people who had no clue what was going on, and they were like, "Why are people running around in costumes?" and Coco Cay was the same way, because like there was another ship docked, another like Royal Caribbean ship docked, and they were just as confused as the other ones.
That is hysterical.
So that part was interesting. But our first stop was Coco Cay, but our second was Bimini, which is the place we're going to talk about, because I didn't realize there was a lot more lore to it than meets the eye. So,
because it's a small island, correct?
Bimini's actually a newer port too. Cruises don't. I've looked it up, and it just opened in summer of 2021, so it's a fairly new.
Okay, so it is fairly new.
Port.
Yep.
Like obviously, it's been open for tourists for a while, but like the cruise port specifically.
But for the cruising industry, it hasn't been open for as long.
Because like a lot of people hadn't heard of it when I would tell people, "Oh, our stop is in one of our ports is Bimini," and they're like, "What is that?" And I was like, "I don't know either."
Grandma knew what it was when she asked, she did? And I told her where you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she'd heard of it. Yeah, which is surprising because, I mean, they've been to Bermuda before, but I didn't realize she knew what Bimini was. So, I mean, the Bahamas before.
Yeah, the Bahamas. It's like a smaller island. It's like a big fishing island. Like a lot of people go to the Bahamas specifically to fish there.
Don't let Sam know.
Yeah, and there's like I was looking at some of the stuff you could do. There was like a shark reef where you can like go snorkeling with sharks.
No, nope, I'm out. Nope. Especially after like we had like while we were on our trip, by the way, when we were in Mexico, there were 3 different stories that came out of people losing limbs from sharks. I don't know if you remember that. There was the one person that lost the 2 arms, and then there was another one that was that got totally eaten by a shark. I mean, like they don't know where their body went. Like the shark came and took them and ate them, and that was the end of them. So it was crazy.
That's scary.
I don't do sharks.
Yeah, well, we did that thing. Remember, we could swim with the sharks when we were on our one trip.
When you went with us to Punta Cana. Yeah.
I was really scared to go swim up to them.
Now, were you guys also able to swim with stingrays while you were there too? I think you did tell me you did.
I thought it was both. It was stingrays. There were stingrays and there were sharks we could swim with. But I think they were like the chill sharks, allegedly.
Well, yeah, you know. They gave them a sedative so they wouldn't be so angry.
Yeah, it was scary. Well, apparently I was scared because we were just swimming out in the water, and then I saw that they have like a lot of like they come up to the beaches too, and they have like 13 different species of shark that are just in the like beach areas.
Nope, I'm out. Yeah,
and I was like pretty in deep because we stopped. So when we got to Bimini, if you do go to Bimini, I highly recommend, like on the cruise port specifically, just get a golf cart. It's worth it. But it's like impossible to walk to some of the stuff without a golf cart. So we got lucky and we got an 8-person golf cart, and it wasn't bad. It was nice. Like $200 for the whole day. And
That's
it was like
not bad
25
because
person.
on the island we were at, it was like $100 for a 4-person golf cart, so for the whole day. So that's not bad.
Yeah, I was like, it's not terrible, $25. So we got our golf cart and then we drove down and we were trying to find, because we heard there was a shipwreck. So we want to go check out the shipwreck. Well, there's actually apparently 2 shipwrecks I looked up because the one I was thinking of was not the same one that we saw. So.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah, one of the shipwreck we saw was called the Gallant Lady Shipwreck. It actually wrecked in Hurricane Mitch in 1997. So it was kind of a fresh one.
Right, yeah. A recent one, not an old one.
Yeah. There was a crazier one called the SS Sapona Shipwreck. That one's kind of out in the water, though. Like, pretty far out. Like, they have, like, boating things. You can go out there, and then you can actually... There's, like, coral reefs inside of it. So you can
probably snorkel, right? Through it. That'd be cool.
That was cool. I didn't realize that was an option.
Just hope you don't meet Bruce the shark while you're in there, remember? Because people are friends, not food.
Yeah. Well, the SS Sapona...
That would be my only worry.
It was actually a ship made out of concrete. Because
at
the time it was built...
How did that float?
I don't know, but it did. Well, it did for a while until I think another hurricane got that one. So hurricanes really eat ships.
Yeah. Yeah,
I didn't realize that. But that's
crazy.
It was built, Woodrow Wilson commissioned it, actually.
Oh, okay. Woodrow Wilson. Wow, that
World
was,
War One. Because they didn't have, the steel
Holy.
supply was really low during the war.
Mm-hmm.
But then it got eaten by the hurricane in 1926. And then the U.S. fighters planes would just start bombing it just for target practice, which is kind of crazy.
Okay.
And then mysteriously, 5 torpedo bombers disappeared while returning from a run to the Sapona on December 5th.
Bermuda Triangle.
And they stopped doing it. I know.
Triangle,
That's what I'm saying. Also, Bimini is in the Bermuda Triangle, like we mentioned earlier. So they already got a lot of weird stuff going on for them there.
Yep.
Yeah, if we go back to that port, because they haven't announced the next cruise yet. They should be soon, though, they said. Later this month, they told us.
I mean, Dad and I will come along just to, like,
that's what you should go on
the
you should just do the normal cruise. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I mean.
We could all go on, like, a family trip.
Yeah, that would be funny.
I was thinking about suggesting that, because it's around the time you guys normally go on a trip.
I know. I thought about it. I was like, maybe.
Well, I heard it was cheaper to go through the normal cruise line, because we also get, like, benefits, because they do the event stuff.
Right.
But you could do most of the stuff. The only things you really couldn't do was if we had, like, the panel rooms and we would rent out. There was, like, a lounge at the top of the ship. That was the worst part. Being up there, you could really feel the ship moving because it was so high up.
Oh, really? Because you're at the tip top.
Yeah, it was like the 414. It was the Viking Lounge is what it was called.
Yeah.
And it was really cool view up there, but it was definitely a little...
Right.
You could definitely feel it more prominent than
a little jarring
other
when
parts.
You, shook. So I'm curious, because this happened to me on our cruise we took when we got on our honeymoon. When you sit on the toilet, you notice it more, don't you? Did you notice that when you went to the bathroom?
I think at night, when all the alcohol's in my stomach, it definitely does notice it more because I feel like you're like, oh.
Right. You can feel it like swaying back and forth from, hitting the waves and stuff. Or at least I thought you could when I was on one.
I think it was it must depend on where you go. When we came back from the Bahamas, it was way worse because the current, we were going against the current. So I got really seasick the last night.
Oh, see, and that's why, girl, you bring those little wristbands with Dramamine on.
I know. Well, I brought Dramamine with me, so I took that that night, and then when we got on ship, I didn't or on land, after, I didn't realize I'd still feel like I was rocking back and forth. Like, I would just feel myself rocking, like I felt like I was still on the ship. It lasted for a day or so after.
Yeah, I was gonna say it usually lasts a few days once you got to get your land legs
back. I know I had my sea legs, but
yep.
It was so weird experiencing that. But yeah, Bimini is only about 50 miles from the Miami, and it's actually the beginning of the Bahamas.
Okay.
That's why a lot of people don't really know about it, and it's in the Bermuda Triangle. So the Fountain of Youth is actually claimed to be there. Little did we know.
What?
Yes,
Seriously?
the Fountain of Youth. The one.
Wait, I thought that was in Ponce de Leon, Florida, when whatchamacallit discovered it.
The Juan Ponce de Leon guy, he actually searched Bimini first because he thought it was there.
Really?
Because they had the Spanish had heard of Bimini from Arawaks in Hispaniola, Cuba, and Puerto Rico. So they had went to Bimini first.
Right.
So they found within the saltwater mangrove swamp of the shoreline of North Bimini the healing pool is what they call it. A pool that lies at the end of a network of winding tunnels. And during the tides,
so did you guys
we didn't know because
pool?
It was. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it until it was too late.
Girl, you should have went.
I know they did have a photo of it. Like, so there was so how we found out about most of this stuff was when we were in like this little, I guess like little center in a little shopping center. They had like these little pillars, and it had like information about Bimini. Like one of them was about
things
the
to
supernatural,
do, places to see.
Yeah, and like one of it was like their paranormal, which is what it mentioned, the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, cool.
And then the Fountain of Youth, which I thought was interesting.
Huh. Yeah, that is interesting.
And then so apparently they made like a little well basically, and it says Fountain of Youth on it, and you can go drink from it.
Oh, hey.
But that was where he tried first,
takes
and then
years off your life.
when it didn't work, he went to the Florida place.
Okay.
But yeah, isn't that crazy?
Leon,
that, it was,
that is crazy.
I
did not know
first.
that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now you know. And apparently there's an energy vortex. I don't know if you've heard of that whole thing.
Really? Yeah, no. Like in Sedona? Kind of like that?
Yeah, apparently there's an energy vortex in Bimini as well.
In Bimini?
Like,
where at?
In
all over or like certain area?
I think it was the south part of Bimini. The more southern area.
Did you guys travel there when you guys
No,
were
we
driving
were stuck
around
on the port area. Because like if you look at it on a map, it's kind of like a few little islands.
Uh-huh. It's not just one island, it's a couple of them.
South Bimini and North Bimini are like two separate. You have to take like a ship to get from one, or like a little,
there's like no bridge or anything?
Not that I noticed on a map.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because they kind of have you like out.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either until I looked. I didn't realize there was a north and a south. Because they just kind of spit you out on the island, and you're just like, oh, here we are.
Right, yeah. Interesting.
And then, allegedly, the city of Atlantis is
part
of...
Where?
That's what I was saying. So, it's called the Bimini Road. It's an underwater road of limestones near North Bimini Island. They appear man-made, so allegedly the pavement may have been part of a lost civilization of Atlantis. And then,
really?
if you're wondering, what is Atlantis? Atlantis is believed to be...
I
know you do, but in case people don't...
I know.
Believed to be an ancient, advanced civilization that was present around 10,000 BC. Edgar Cayce. Have you heard of that name? Edgar Cayce?
Spell his last name, please.
Edgar, C-A-Y-C-E. Cayce.
Oh, C-A-Y. Okay. No,
because this guy, I started looking into this guy, too. I went down a rabbit hole about him. So Edgar Cayce predicted that it spanned from the Gulf of Mexico to Gibraltar and Bimini. And Bimini was a mountaintop of Atlantis. This is one of his claims. So I'm like, okay, who is this Edgar Cayce guy?
Yeah, right.
And I looked him up. He's actually from Kentucky.
Yes! Stop it.
Yes! But it gets even crazier. This guy is... I'm like, we should do a deep dive on this guy, because just from the bits of...
sounds like it.
But
sounds interesting.
Yeah, but listen, okay? At 3 years old, he fell onto a nail sticking out of a fence post face first. And it punctured his brain. And then
oh, dear Lord.
He seemed perfectly fine. Like, they just kind of threw whatever they did at the time. Because he was, back then, it was pretty, I think it was like 1870s or something.
Oh, yeah, back then, man, he's lucky to be alive because of
he's not alive, obviously. He's dead. But he survived. But he lived a long life.
Wow, that's crazy.
He played alone often when he was a child, and his parents were concerned because he claimed that he played with little folk in the garden. So this guy's been playing with fairies in Kentucky. Wow,
that's pretty cool.
I know.
All right, now wait a minute. Now that's a whole nother story we need to go.
I know, but listen,
fairies in Kentucky.
I know, but it gets crazier. This guy, like, we gotta do a deep dive. Maybe the next podcast. He was a spiritualist and a psychic as well.
Oh my God!
He was known for recommending treating ailments while sleeping. He would sleep and do like psychic readings.
What?
And he
Really?
did over
That's
14,000 readings that they have, like, on file. And one of them was
Really?
Harry
Wow.
Houdini.
Nuh-uh, stop it, really?
I told you, this guy, I, like...
Wow, this guy is
I just
interesting.
saw his name,
wow.
and I was like, we need to look more into him. He has a lot of crazy lore, is all I'll say.
Wow, yeah, he sounds cool, yeah.
Because I was like, his name sound familiar. But yeah, he's like a spiritualist, clairvoyant guy. And then I think he lived in Ohio at one point, too. But he was, okay, but it's interesting, the specific area, do you remember the Hopkinsville thing? He lived in Kentucky, Hopkinsville, Kentucky at one point.
Nuh-uh, stop.
That's the place where the elves were, remember?
I know. Oh, wait. Oh, that's interesting, Kara.
That's why I said it's really interesting.
Maybe they weren't elves. Maybe they were aliens that he was
talking to.
Communicating
or like, remember,
with.
It was the alien. Yep. Hopkinsville was the alien place that looked like little
elves.
elves.
Yes, it was the aliens that were, yeah.
But he kept saying that he had
roof,
these fairies that would come and talk to him.
Oh, I bet it was the aliens.
I thought that was an insane kind of tie-in. Because I was like, that name.
Yeah, that's
Edgar
crazy.
Case,
I've never heard of this guy. Now I'm going to go have to look him up.
I know, you should, because I was like, oh my lord. I couldn't even talk about it all in this one, because I was already doing the other stuff, but I wanted to at least touch on it, because I thought his name sounded familiar.
Huh.
Also, a fun fact about Bimini, the final scene of The Silence of the Lambs was actually shot in the capital of Bimini.
When he gets off the plane and says, I'm seeing an old friend for dinner.
I think, is that what the end scene of it is?
Yeah, that's the end. Yes,
that must be it then.
He calls Clarice Starling and he's like, yes, I'm having an old friend for dinner. And he's got on like his white hat and he's at the airport. Or like it looks like an airport type place. All right, cool. That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's all about Bimini. And we learned about Edgar Case a little bit. But there is so much that he had done.
Yeah, he sounds like an interesting person.
Yeah, especially for like American spiritualism. I'm surprised we hadn't like heard about him. He was also.
Well, I'm surprised he didn't come up because we've talked about spiritualism
before.
Why
I was like, I've
and
heard
some of
his
the people
name.
that were involved.
I just don't remember where I've heard it. But then I looked into it and was like, wow, this guy's like wild. And he was like Christian, so like he thought that all of his gifts were from God too, which is kind of
really interesting. Yeah,
like his spiritual gifts.
Yeah,
you don't normally hear people.
Yeah.
Say that
claiming that they're from God. Yeah. That's interesting. Huh.
But like a lot of people who become clairvoyants have brain damage.
Really?
Like
I did not know
I wonder if it like messed with a part of his brain that unlocked his abilities.
Maybe. You know what they say, that a lot of times in order to be able to do some of those things you have to have your third eye unlocked and all that stuff. So maybe that is what happened.
So I wonder if it poked something in his brain that unlocked those abilities.
I don't know, maybe.
And a lot of them were like, a lot of the things he predicted came true.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Like he was a very like sought after psychic guy.
Interesting. Huh.
That's why I'm like, how did we never...
I was going to say, how did we miss this dude?
I heard about him.
Yeah.
And he even still has like people who follow him today, like his teachings.
Wow.
He kind of gets into a little bit of a
cult following
territory a little bit.
Huh. Interesting.
A little bit. But yeah, that's what I have. You can tell us all about Mexico.
Oh yeah, good old Mexico. Okay, so when we were in Mexico, we went to this island. We were in Cancun, sorry, I should say that first. And when we were in Cancun, there was this island that sits off of across from Cancun called the Isle of Mujeres, which basically means the Isle of Women. And it's all about, they pay homage to a fertility goddess, basically. That's like somewhere on the island. We didn't get to go explore it totally. But you could rent golf carts in that if you go there. We actually ended up taking a catamaran from our resort. It was up at our resort that we were staying at, and it took us to the Isle of Mujeres, and it was really neat. You got to snorkel for a few minutes. Okay, the snorkeling part was very scary because they would dump you into the ocean, like deep water ocean, not like shallow part of the ocean, and you had to hold onto a rope because the water was so choppy, so that you didn't float away from the rest of the group. Okay, and then they left them there. Those people were there, okay? And our boat took off while they were just floating there in the ocean, okay? In open water with, all the fish and sharks and everything. And we swung around away from them for about 15 minutes, and then we came back and picked them up. So, yeah, there's a reason why I did not go snorkeling during that little adventure. I like to snorkel, but I was not doing it in open water like that.
Yeah, that sounds
and very deep open water.
Scary.
Yeah. And the way they were doing it, like there was nobody, if you got into trouble and you know what I mean, and you freaked out, there was no way you could get a hold of the boat quick enough. So then after we did that, the boat kept going on and we went to the Isle of Mujeres, which is this island that, like I said, they believe in the fertility goddess, and that is what the name of their island is named after. And there's a statue on there that they say if you rub her, if you're experiencing fertility problems, that if you rub her, you're supposed to get pregnant within, a couple, like a month or a year or something like that. But they also, interestingly enough, I found this out, and I don't know how I never knew this, but along different places in Cancun, and especially outside of our resort, they have these little clay, like, structures, like little temples that they've built, but they're tiny. They're no taller than 3 feet tall, and I have a picture of one, the one that was outside of our hotel, which I will post on Facebook for people, or not Facebook, on our Instagram page for people to see, and when we run this story. But apparently they build these in order to appease these little dudes, kind of like sprites and fairies that run around there, so that they do not act out against them, so they like don't mess with the hotels and that. So they build these they're like these little little homes, little the little sculpture structure thing in honor of them, and they leave like little treats inside of there to help appease the little nymphs, the little fairies, whatever they are, that like to hang out in these places, so they won't be mean to the people that are visiting Cancun or staying at the hotels, which I thought was kind of cool. We also talked to one of our tour guides who turns out was actually Mayan. And he was telling us that, there's like a lot of folklore on the island of that. One of them I found out about was the La Chutza, which I talked about last time on our podcast about. It was like the owl witch. It was about this creepy owl lady that would go around, and she would try and steal people to eat them and stuff. And then I also found out about another one, which I had never heard of, and which was really interesting, called the Boitata, which is a giant fire snake creature, and it's the protector of the forest. And some say it turns into a fiery tree to attract its victims and burn them. Now, this is like,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I know. So this is like a colossal serpent. Apparently, it's like a giant snake. And it has a very striking fiery appearance if you are to come upon it. Its skin is often described as glowing with intense flame-like luminosity, and they say that it illuminates the dark forest at night. So some say it's like a friend and some say it's a foe, because it illuminates, the forest at night so you can see where you're going. But if it doesn't like what you're doing in the forest at night or at any time, apparently it can turn on you, and it is said that it will kill you. Its eyes are depicted as brilliant orbs and as radiant as the sun, and they're capable of blinding people that gaze at it directly. Its scales, when you look at it, will shimmer in hues of fiery red and orange. And additionally, its tail is said to have a sharp spear-like tip on the end that it can use to attack people with. Now, the Boitata has powerful abilities, and in its role as the guardian of the natural world. It uses fire as a way to protect the forest and to punish those who try and harm it. This creature also can manipulate flames and fire to defend its domain. So it will use fire to attack you if you are up to no good in the forest and harming it, because it's job to protect the forest. It also apparently has the ability to control water, which is kind of unusual that both it has the powers of fire and water. And with this power, it can summon floods, or it can actually use its powers to calm turbulent waters after heavy flooding that sometimes occurs from the rain that they get there. You know, a lot of time it is a tropical area, so a lot of times they will do get a lot of rain. This creature can also fly. I mean, this thing does it all, traversing the skies with its fiery form. Its eyes are said to be able to possess you and are so mesmerizing that if you look at its gaze, it's said to be lethal, that it can either blind you or even kill some people, kind of like Medusa. Like, I think of this snake as like a different version of Medusa. Instead of being like a person with snakes on their head like Medusa is, this is just this giant snake that, you know, can stare at you with its eyes and turn you into stone, or you know, or actually set you on fire if it doesn't like you. The Boitata can also transform into a burning log, and it's a strategy that it likes to use to deceive people and incarcerate them. It's also the shape-shifting abilities also help highlight its connection between the spiritual and physical realms. Now, as I said, this is like a cryptid. People haven't, I mean, it hasn't been seen for a while, but there are lots of stories out there about people seeing like this burning snake thing and that. And some people even go as far as to say, like the wisp that, you know, are in the game Animal Crossing, you know how you have to catch them or whatever in the game, that the wisp are kind of similar to this Boitata, this fire snake, apparently. Yeah, that's what they say. So anyway, that is some of the stuff that I heard when I was in Cancun and in Mexico. Interestingly, also, I have like a story to tell everybody that I don't know if people have seen yet. And I don't know if you heard about this, Kara, but yesterday, all across the news feeds, there was a story running that, you know who Aaron is from Ghost Adventures?
Yeah.
Did you see the story? Apparently his wife, who I guess he had just married not too long ago, maybe they've been married for 2 years, not very too long, was actually arrested yesterday for trying to hire a hitman to kill him instead of just divorcing him. Apparently she reached out to somebody that she knew in prison and asked him to hire somebody who would kill Aaron for her, make it look like it was like an accident or something like that. But apparently she like gave this person all kinds of information about where they were filming Ghost Adventures at and stuff, and like what time he would be at the hotel and all that. Oh. Yeah. So she just got arrested for that yesterday, though. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
That is very crazy.
It's poor guy. I feel like, though, that show's cursed, and I feel like, you know, this is just part of the ongoing curse that they keep encountering. You know what I mean? That they keep, because they keep having such a bad run of luck between him and Zach, and remember all his health issues that he's gotten from you know, all their investigations and that, and dealing with you know, bad spirits and stuff. I feel like that they've been cursed. Or they have really bad luck. I don't know. Take your pick.
Could be either.
But anyway, that's all I have this week, was about, you know, some of the things I heard about when I was in Cancun.
Anything else we have today?
No, just wish everybody happy St. Patrick's Day on Saturday, right? Or Sunday?
It's not Saturday.
Is it Sunday?
It's Monday.
Monday. Sorry, Monday. Yes, happy St. Patrick's to everybody.
Like,
I know, I had a brain fart. Sorry. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody, though. Make sure to celebrate your Irish heritage. I know I will. I wish I was in Chicago so I can see the green when they turn the river green there, and then drink green beer. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you can have some green spaghetti.
That's
sure.
Oh gosh, don't even. Yeah, Sam. Oh my God, this weekend.
Sam hates that.
Yes,
he told me
it's going to happen this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and he has to work both days, and he is going to be slammed. So, if anybody wants to get their green Skyline chili from any of the local Cincinnati Skyline chili parlors, this weekend is your time to do it.
They do them up here too,
huh? They do.
They do them up here.
I think it's all of them. Yeah, I think they do. It's all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
It's for the Saturday and Sunday, I believe, is when they're doing it. Or it's Sunday and Monday. I'm not sure.
It's weird they're not doing it on the 17th.
I think it's Sunday and Monday, but I feel like they'll make more money if they do it on the weekend than they will. You know what I mean? Like, more people.
Oh, I'm sure that's why, but they might as well still do it.
I know, but
I know Sam says he hates that
he
day.
does.
He was telling me.
Yeah, yes. It's the vein of his existence, because he says it's so packed in there. You know, and everybody's fighting and vying for it, and she said it's just insane the amount of people that come in. And then they have to do something totally different by, because normally there's a special way they prepare the spaghetti noodles before they give them to you, and they have to change it and dye them green instead of what they normally do. So it's like a whole procedure and a pain.
A whole process.
Yep, a whole annoying process. But enjoy your green spaghetti. I know I will be.
Right.
All right.
All right. Well, have a good St. Patrick's Day. Don't say hi to any of the evil leprechauns.
Yeah, stay away from those leprechauns, man.
Yeah, they're tricksters.
Yeah. Make sure to wear green on Monday for St. Patrick's Day. I know I will be wearing my green.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to get pinched.
Yep, you'll get pinched by the little leprechauns. They'll come haunt you.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed the podcast today, please be sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast. And don't forget to leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It really helps the show get discovered. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.